Good morning, Pro Crew. Welcome back. Hopefully y'all are doing well. Had a good weekend. Hopefully y'all had a nice Valentine's Day. Just hanging out, chilling out. Didn't do too much. Just went and grabbed dinner with my girlfriend. So nothing too crazy. But y'all will have to let me know in the comments what y'all did. If you did anything super exciting. Maybe you guys just watched the Olympics or something of that sort. But yeah, nothing too much going on in the charts. Had a little bit of spike up, a little bit of spike down, but more or less, kind of just since, Friday, we kind of just ran sideways. We did get a little bit of a run up into Saturday, but nothing crazy after our move on Friday that we were looking at. Yeah, just kind of sitting sideways still. Not a whole lot going on in the charts. Looks like Terry's here, so good morning to you, Terry. Good morning, Spirit Maker. Spirit Maker says make sure you hit that like button and go ahead and hit that subscribe button too. Hit the notification bell if you can. That'll keep you up to date with our live streams that are coming out, and also just the different videos and stuff that we're posting. We're working on some big stuff, so you don't want to miss out. Speaking of that, we did update our website over the weekend, kind of into yesterday. So if you guys are all jumping on that today, it'll be slightly different. Same rule of thumb, same kind of stuff that we always have on there. It's just looks a little cleaner, it's a little nicer. Yeah, we're actually focused on kind of making it a little better. Working on just adding some new stuff, kind of throwing some ideas around, maybe putting some more videos and stuff up on the site to actually help you guys out, help you guys kind of see what's going on, what are the standard operating procedures, stuff like that, how are we actually gonna, how to use this. Yeah, and I mean, if you've been around for a while, you're probably like, oh, that stuff's all easy, but we have had a lot of people kind of complain about it being overly complicated, or people are just having a hard time kind of figuring out, okay, I'm here on the site, what do I do, what's the site for, all that kind of stuff, which we kind of talk about on the live, but I don't know, we're just trying to make it a little simpler, a little easier, not quite so much intuition, I guess. A lot of what we have right now is just that you have to kind of know what you're doing, kind of know how to read a lot of TA and stuff like that, and we're looking to make it a little simpler, a little easier for people, so they can kind of turn it on and at least get an idea of kind of what we're doing, if not be able to do it themselves. So yeah, we're working on that, working on just getting all that built into this site and kind of set up, and then we're also working on just making our stuff better so we can get some more trades. Speaking of which, we can go on over to our Kubota site here. I'll show you guys a little bit of the update. So I believe it was called Session Control before. Now it's called the Operator Suite up here in the top. We got our Indicators tab now, so they're on here. Not sure why this is so bright. Yeah, some of the stuff, it's all kind of subject to change, I guess. So we're kind of in the middle of working on it, so this is kind of a work in progress, I guess, still. And then we did update it, so instead of $89.99, it's now $29.99 a month. Made it a little bit cheaper for everybody, just so we can get some more people in, see what people think about it, kind of get a little ideas. Again, that's all subject to change, so we might update that in the future, but yeah, for right now, all of this is just $29.99 a month. And then we are working on a couple of other things. So I got my admin tab over here. It has some different things in it when I drop it down. Just different things we've been working on. They might come out soon. They might come out never. They might come out in a little while. We'll see. We're just kind of working on them. We're testing them, seeing kind of what people think about them, seeing what we think about them and how well they work, and kind of back testing them as well too. And some of them are just more tools too, as well, just for us to kind of use the tools and kind of see how well they line up with the rest of the stuff. Like, how well is this tool going to do for well, what we're trying to do, I guess. But yeah, let's jump into it. So this is our main page here on our website. So you can see we got our session control up. You can change the asset if you'd like. We basically only trade Bitcoin. The hard thing with trading some of the other, basically any of the alts, is that when Bitcoin is going to not move, then you're going to not get any movement really in the alts. And you know, there's some honey badgers, which, if you don't know, a honey badger is basically just a chart that doesn't really care what the trend is, doesn't really care like what's going on. It's just going to go in the direction it wants to go, and that's what's going to happen. Like, the TA is going to play out, and that's what it's going to do. They're not very common. Like, they are pretty rare, I would say. If you're looking around, you know, you can find them. Overall, though, typically if Bitcoin's not running, then nothing else is running, you know, or if Bitcoin's not dropping, nothing else is going to drop. So if we're running sideways on Bitcoin, more than likely you're going to get sideways on everything else. So we trade Bitcoin mostly. The nice thing, I guess, is if Bitcoin is going to run, though, you could look at some of the other stuff in there. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Doge, and TRX all on here right now. So you can switch between those and check out, maybe just check them out, see what you think about them. Let us know if you want to see some more coins or anything like that on there. But that's what's on our session control so far. Next, we'll pick our session. So we're going to trade the New York futures session. That's the one for right now. We also got one at New York equity at 9:30, London at well, I mean, these are all the other ones are kind of in their own time zones, but 8 GMT, Tokyo's at 9 JST, and Sydney's at 11 AEDT. I believe London's at like 11 o'clock our time. Yeah, they're all over. So you can go ahead and look them up if you want, or just pick on the one that you actually want to trade. And I know you can't see the drop down. I don't know what that, like, why it does that, but when you click on them, there is a drop down box, and that's what I'm looking at. And then down here below that, you can just see the different times that will kind of be trading. Basically, like, it's like you got your market open at 7:30. 7:30 to 8 is kind of when the system's kind of calibrating and getting ready. So it's kind of tracking the different candles and stuff like that through the 7:30 to 8 a.m. At 8 a.m. our system is up and ready. It's time to kind of get the ball rolling, get everything kind of started for the day. That's when you can hit initiate calibration. Before that, you'll see it'll say calibrating below it, or calibration time or something. I don't remember what it says. And then by 3:30 is kind of when, you know, the market's kind of done moving for the day, at least for the New York futures session. So we're kind of turn the charts off. If you're in trade, you're more than likely already either looking to get out or like right there at getting out. So yeah, that's kind of what's there. You can't really see the close. I guess there you go. It's right behind me. And then down here we got our different lines and triggers, which will populate when we click the initiate calibration. So we can go ahead and start that up. And now you can see we got all of our lines kind of populated in here. So daily resistance, breakout trigger, breakdown trigger, and daily support is right behind me, where you can't see. And then those are all just kind of lines for our chart. You can go ahead and actually put these in manually if you'd like to. In our indicators tab, though, there is our indicator, and when you have our indicator on your chart, all you have to do is hit copy indicator data and then head back to the chart, find our indicator. So the one we're going to use is the well, mine is, we have a more advanced one, I guess, that we've been working on. So this one's a little bit different. I don't remember what the other one's called. Here, let me check. It's called the Cabroto Battlebox Command Renderer. So you want to use that one there. and that'll be the one you'll open up settings. It'll look just like this. It'll say something like pace level string. You'll copy all of this, or press Control A to kind of select it all, and then press Control V to paste it, our new strand from inside of our website in there. And you can see all the lines kind of shifted and moved on my chart. Now we got our different lines on here. So we got our breakout, or sorry, our daily resistance is up here in red. You got our breakout trigger right here in the green. Daily support is right here in blue, and then below that is our breakdown trigger. And basically how this works is we kind of just measure the gaps in between each of them. So for this one, I would be looking, the downside is technically the trade for right now, because we are still in our weekly, I guess, is bearish, so that's where we're still kind of in that downtrend look, but we're kind of in the shifting right now. So a lot of our system is more based off of when you actually have that, we like to call it the wind at your back, basically. Ideas like if you're sailing, if the wind's behind you and blowing you forward, it's a lot easier to go forward than if the wind's in front of you and blowing you backwards, you know. So basically it's a lot easier to go down than it is up right now, is all that to say. Yeah, it's just hard because right now we know the winds are about to shift, and so we're kind of playing a little safer, kind of being a little mindful of that. You might get the spikes down, like obviously yesterday we got a little bit of a spike down. Our system actually did not call that one though. It's kind of a random spike, and it would have been hard to get in and out of. But yeah, basically we're looking for more of that downside look. And we do have a little bit of a jailbreak here, trade on the downside, but it's not anything that I would actually be looking at taking. So when we say jailbreak, basically what we mean is the gap is on the inside. So typically the support and resistance are going to be on the outsides of the breakout and breakdown line. So just like the red one is right here. So this is our daily resistance there, and we got our breakout line here. And when you see this gap on the outside, it typically means that that's just like a typical trade. You're going to trade up and more than likely come to this zone here. It's kind of what it's saying, depending on the gap, that is. So our gap today, if we measure it, is 77.77, so not too bad. But that would be to the upside. And then to the downside, technically we'd be looking for the gap down here. But however, the line is on the inside, so our daily support is on the inside of our breakdown line, which is kind of interesting. So that means it's actually kind of like the inverse of what we just saw up here. And that actually tells us that we're more than likely going to get a better trade on the downside. However, our gap for the downside today is not very good. So we only have a 0.7, well, almost 0.20, 0.2. So yeah, just not good. Like 20% gap is just not a good gap. So it's not really likely that we'll get some downside action today. Could we? Yes, we could. Will it be hard? Probably not. Not anything I would be really looking at. More than likely, I would say if we were going to take a trade today, it'd probably be more of the upside. Will it be very strong? Probably not. And will it be very big? Probably not either. The hard thing too is your risk reward today. So if we were looking at taking a trade to the upside, that would kind of be our trade there. So 0.5, not very nice trade. Could you be a little more advanced and kind of move your stop up? Probably, but even then you're only getting like 1-to-1. Maybe a little bit better if you're really really more advanced and kind of taking a position. Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have to be a lot more advanced of kind of trader and decide where to put your stop based off of kind of some different factors and stuff that go into it. But the basics of the system is you always drop it below the 30-minute low, and we actually do have those marked on our chart with our 2 yellow lines here with the range here. So this is our 30-minute candle. So whenever you put your stop, you want to put it below the 30-minute candle here. Upside could be looking for a test that 70,500 level to 71K. We could come up. Let's see if we run some fib lines. So this is another cool thing about the system. If you run from your breakdown line to the breakup line with your fib lines, and it depends on how you set them up. I know some people like to have them inversed. So like whenever you draw it like this, it'll throw targets to the downside. We have it set up to the upside. Actually, I'm going to take out these fib lines. Basically, though, whenever you do that, you'll have your 3 different targets right here by doing that. And so we have our first target here right below that resistance line that we we're talking about. Second target's going to be right here at 69,500 around. And then 70,100 is kind of our last target there. Still building the base, waiting for a higher time frames moving averages to come down to the current price levels. Yeah, we're still kind of waiting for price to kind of just show that we're actually gonna stay bottomed out here and not continue down farther. So we're really just waiting and kind of just seeing. We're still in that transition period, so it's not too interesting. Is there trades to be had? Yes, there's trades here. It's just they're not going to be as good or as nice as the ones when we actually have the wind at our back. So I'm thinking though for today more of that upside trade. The other cool thing you can do with our gaps here is you can actually draw a target like this. They call this a pole, but basically we're pretending like this is our pattern here, kind of like sideways pattern here with the 2 breakup or breakout trigger and then our breakdown trigger, and we'll draw a line between them, and then you kind of extend that line off the top trigger and it'll take us right to target 2, it looks like today. So that's kind of just a general rule of thumb. Typically we go up and hit the top of the pull. Do we always? No, not always. It just really depends on price action, how the gaps look. It depends on just a couple of different factors. Overall today though, there is that possibility of the up trade here that we're kind of looking at. So we'll have to just watch and see what happens here. And I'm going to lock these because I keep grabbing them as I move around. Yeah, so that's kind of the trade. I would say that we're looking at today is kind of that trade to the upside. And we can kind of show you guys our newer AI that we've been working on. See what y'all think about it. Actually, I'm going to open it up. I don't have a screen for it, so I'm going to go ahead and have to make that real fast. Alright, so we're actually switching over. Normally we use GPT for most of our AI stuff, but lately we've been kind of switching over to Gemini actually, because the GPTs are actually kind of somewhat limited on how they kind of behave and how they work within, like, when you actually are creating a GPT. And they're also just have a really bad tendency to kind of like forget what you're trying to tell it to do, or it just like forgets the prompt, or it'll forget the rules that it has set within the GPT, or just different things like that. And so we've actually found that the gems, which are kind of Gemini's GPTs essentially, are just better off. They have a higher memory, I guess. They're just better at keeping the conversation going. They're better at keeping you within the rules of the gym that are there. Keeps you, just kind of lined up with what we actually wanted more in the GPT. And it also is able to do like kind of multitasks at the same time. So it can look at a bunch of data and kind of put out something a little nicer than what the GPT can do. So we'll actually just switch this. All right, let's check it out. So this is our GPT here, and we're kind of zoomed in a little bit, but I think it'll be all right. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go back to our site and kind of grab. You guys actually won't be able to access this. Oops, you won't be able to access this yet. But I'm gonna grab our stuff for today. Yeah, so I got our session intel for today, and you guys won't really be able to use this GPT yet at all. Really, I don't even know if you guys actually technically could have access to it if you could find it. But yeah, the other thing with the gyms is that they actually have a pro feature where you can kind of run it a little bit slower. It takes a little bit longer, but it actually does a little more analysis kind of on what you're actually sending it and what it kind of thinks about. And we are looking at updating this, kind of building it a little bit better. Yeah, so it looks like hold fire, ambush day, Tuesday, money day. Aggressive sizing is permitted if setup criteria is met. Yep, the gap from the breakout trigger to the daily resistance is 0.77. So we kind of saw that earlier. If we go back to the chart, you can see that by grabbing the little measuring tool over here and measuring from our breakout trigger to the daily resistance, we got a 0.77. And so that's good. That's something that we like. Basically, we're looking for the runner play. We want to go up. Yeah, basically we take the trade up. If we get a short today, it's basically saying avoid it because our gap is not that good on the downside. And we looked at that too. If you weren't here though, we'll go ahead and measure it again. So from the breakdown trigger to the resistance right there is only a 0.18%. So not very good, not good at all. We will have more of the gap kind of stuff on the website here in the near future. So you can kind of see what we're talking about with the gaps and like what's good gap, what's a bad gap. But essentially the 0.18 is not really worth it. So it's not something we're looking for the downside. More than likely we're looking for it to break up. If we don't get the break up, then obviously it's not really something we want to be getting into. Just not because it can't go down, just because if it did go down, it's not really something that the system is calling, and it's just not really confirmed, essentially, is what we're saying. So we'll go back to our GPT here. We got some structure kind of hovering in no man's land, so between the breakdown and the breakout triggers, essentially what that means. Yeah, it's saying if we break that 68.7 level, so the breakout level, and we get the 15-minute close above it, yeah, I mean it's telling us. Okay, so the one thing is too with our Gemini is it's a little more of the advanced style, I guess. So typically what our style is and what we kind of teach people is that when you get the breakout of the level. So for today, it'll be the breakout trigger or the breakdown trigger, either one. If we get the if we break either one of those, then we're gonna wait for 2 candle closes, either above the breakout or below the breakdown trigger. And once you get that, then you're looking for the 5-minute retest of that trigger. And 5-minute retest means we want to see the price come down, hit it, and then start to go back up. And then that's where we enter the trade. And that's the basics of our more basic system. For more advanced, though, we have a little bit more kind of room to wiggle around, more room to kind of jump into it. So one of the main things about our advanced system is actually use what we call the predator system. So it's essentially whenever the chart hits that 8:30 mark, the candle will open on the 15-minute, and we're waiting for that candle to close at 8:45. And when that candle closes, then we can mark the top and the bottom of that candle, wicks included, and that'll give us the predator lines. So our predator lines are kind of just some extra to kind of tell us, like, if we close above a predator line and above the daily breakout trigger, then we're looking for that upside. And that's really kind of the trade for today. And that would be where you kind of decide on how you're going to enter based off of that. So you could say, oh, like 5-minute close above both of those, I'm jumping in. For today, the AI is saying what we should do is have a 15-minute close above and then a 5-minute retest of the 8 EMA. So if you run up, you close above both the predator and the breakout line on the 15-minute. We're waiting for a 5-minute retest of the 8 EMA, and then we're jumping in and taking the trade to the upside. That's not a bad way to jump in either. So it really kind of depends on how you're wanting to trade this, and just how you're looking at it. Really, it's more. That's why we say it's more advanced. It's just more of, you kind of got to know what you're doing to get into that one. And could you probably just get in on 15-minute close? Probably. It's just, you might end up losing a little bit more than somebody who's maybe waiting for that retest or something, being a little more strategic about how they get in. And then that's kind of the trade today, is that primary trade for long. We're not really looking at a short. Like I said, the gap is just not big enough. If the gap was a better size, like maybe 0.5 or better, then we would be looking more at that downside, because the downside is actually a better trade. When you see the gap kind of inverted like that, when you see the gap on the inside of the thing, so your support or your resistance are kind of sitting in that no man's land between the breakout and breakdown trigger, that gap is actually better for whatever position it's taking, especially when the wind is at your back. If the wind's at your back, then it's a really good trade. However, since the gap's not that big, it really is not anything to us. Basically, it's just whatever. We don't care about that too much. We're looking more for the upside today. And if, like I said, if we don't get the upside, then we're not really looking for a trade today. Basically, today, what the AI wants you to remember is that sitting on your hands can be a position. If we're not going to get the trade, and if it doesn't set up for a trade, then we're probably just not going to get into it, and we're just going to kind of sit around and do whatever. You could take up a new hobby, or just enjoy watching candles, I guess, for the day, or just turn off the charts, go do something else. Like whatever it is, that would be kind of what you're doing. Today I would say, like, be maybe a little more mindful, because we could break that breakout trigger, and that would be kind of the trade to watch. So it's not just a drop and like just be like, oh, just turn off the charts and not do anything. Yesterday was more of a just turn off the charts and don't do anything day. Today's more of a just watch carefully, or maybe set some alerts and then walk away, stuff like that. So yeah, we haven't really confirmed either way yet. We'll see what happens here in the next 15 or so minutes as we kind of jump into this predator candle that I was talking about. So you can see with our indicator that we've been kind of working on, it actually throws the predator lines on there and slowly moves them around as price kind of starts to build out and show you kind of where the candle's kind of going to be for today. Once we close this candle, then they'll actually extend more to the right side. So we'll kind of go over here to this side and continue out that way. And then you'll be able to see them a lot better. Right now they're kind of small and just kind of barely sticking off the candles. Typically in a week we take about well, it can be anywhere from like 1 to 3 trades, I would say. Our system keeps us out of most trades. Keeps us out of most, and I won't even say trades, it keeps us out of most days of the market. Because basically we just want to take the days that are actually going to move, and that doesn't mean that we're 100% accurate or anything like that, but it does mean that we don't mind just kind of checking out the charts and sitting around and waiting if tomorrow we can make $500 day. Like, we don't want to be, and we've done it before. Like, we've been the people that kind of just jump in and try to trade the small little trades every single day, and a lot of times you just have a harder time making money, and you end up either losing a lot, or it's hard to jump out at the right times, or whatever. And you can build a system for that, and there's a lot that goes into that. But what we've kind of found is it's just better to kind of sit back, have your system kind of there and ready to go. And if it plays out for the day, you trade. If it doesn't, then you're kind of just sitting around waiting, and you just don't take a trade, because you're not losing money if you don't have money on the chart, So that's kind of what we're kind of coming at from our system here. But yeah, to answer your question, we don't trade very often, maybe 3 times a week at most. In like the last couple of weeks, we really haven't gotten much. I think maybe 1 or 2 trades last week. The week before, technically we had 2. One of them was, I think it was the week before that. It was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, yes, last week we did have. Yeah, I don't know. It's not as common. Our system's more built on you take the pretty good trades and you take the money off of them, and then especially when the wind's at your back, you're gonna get some real nice trades like 5x plus, maybe not 5x, 5-to-1 ratios. And when we say that, we just mean, like, if you don't know much about trading wise, 5-to-1 just means that whatever your stop is at, you're making five times that. So let's say we throw on our long for today, right? So we're getting in here. That's our stop there. Oop, we're not getting in there. We're getting in right there. There's our stop for today, and we're going to run up to target 2, right? So we're going to make a 1-to-1, and that's what that shows right here on if you use the trading thing on trading view. We're making a 1-to-1. So basically, if we put $100 on, then according to this, we'll make $125, and that's kind of the math there. And if you move your stop up, it gets more and more. So if you had put your stop here, you'd make 2.5-to-1. So you'd make $250 on 100. And that's just the basics there. So The nice thing though is on good days, typically you'll see the 30-minute candles a little bit higher, so your stop will be a little bit tighter, more like this or something, and then you'll also be able to run it out a little bit farther. So like this, we're making a 5 to 1. So yeah, it really just depends on the day, but with our system, you'll make a lot of money on like 1 or 2 days a week. Or maybe you'll make a lot of money on one day and then kind of an all right amount of money on another day, like maybe a 1 to 1 on one day, and then the other day you're making 3, 4, 5 to 1. And that doesn't happen every week, but you know, if it does do that, then you know you're up. Like say you trade $100 each time, you make that $500 one time, and then another 100 the next time. You're up $600 for the week. And you know, maybe you lose one on, let's say you lose one day too, so you're looking at you're still up 500. So just kind of how we look at it there. On a trade like today, would you put your stop at the 30-minute low, or do you use 15-minute breakout candle close above the trigger low as the stop area? That's what I was kind of saying. So you could use obviously the safest thing you could do is actually use if the stop is below the low of the 15-minute candle, the return ratio is higher. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. Using the 15-minute candle like that is a little bit more advanced and definitely more risky, I would say. Could you do it? Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's within the bounds of our system. We've actually been testing that quite a bit recently. Is it like it kind of depends on how you're looking to trade though. Like if you are more of an advanced trader and like you're better at kind of reading price action and kind of seeing what we're doing and jumping in at the right time, then yeah, I would say okay, that's probably a good spot to throw it at, is that 15-minute candle that you're talking about, the breakout candle, and put the trade below that, put your stop below that. But if you're maybe newer to trading, or you kind of learn the basics to TA, or even really you're just new to our system and you're kind of looking to learn and kind of grow your account and see how it's going, I would definitely throw it down below that 30-minute candle range, just because it's a whole lot safer. Is it like never gonna come down there? I don't know, like I can't tell you that. It's just in general you're putting a lot less risk on the market, and that's essentially why your risk to reward ratio is a lot less, because you really don't have to risk as much to well, I wouldn't say to make as much, but you know, you don't have to risk as much and you still make an okay amount. Obviously you make more if you're moving your stop right under that 15-minute candle. And I mean, like say it closed like right here, like, oh man, 10 to 1 at a 2 to 1, that's crazy. And even if we just took it here at the 1 to 1, it's 5 to 1. I mean, yeah, it's a good trade, and it's there. It's just it is more risky. Like you're risking a decent amount to get down there. So yeah, it's kind of up to you. Depends on how you're looking to trade, how you want to trade, what you're thinking about. We are getting a crazy dropout candle right here. That thing is massive. I mean, we basically just bearish engulfed all of these candles here. So, oh wow. But yeah, we'll see for today. We really got to break up if we're going to do anything. If we kind of, like if this is the breakdown here, yeah, it might spike down and we might not be able to take the trade, but to me that's okay, because we're not, like, this is not going to be that's not going to be one I want to get into, is basically what I'm going to say. So that's not where I'm looking for. That's not really within the system. So yeah, it's just not my trade, you know. if I was to take a trade today, it would definitely be the upside. So that's what I'm looking for. And like I said, like trading the upside is a little bit more risky because we don't have that wind at our back today. We're looking to jump in and take a trade against the wind. So the other thing is too, if you are going to do that, if you're going to take a trade up and against the wind, you're going to want to watch out because that could be, the wind might push you a little harder once we get to our first target, or maybe we break through the first target no problem, and then we kind of come up here and we get like halfway up and you start seeing the wind come in and push it back down. It'd be kind of one where you kind of play with your stop maybe, instead of, you break through target 1 and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to move my stop up here to break even. And then you kind of have to decide, like, should you just pull it at target 1, or are you going to hold it and see if you can get to target 2 and kind of play with your stop running throughout here. So I don't know. It's kind of up to you. That's kind of where your trader mind comes in. That's where you kind of need to know how to do your own TA and stuff. Not a good candle to trade off of. Yeah, no, it's not. 15-minute candles. Yeah, we still haven't played out the predator candle, which is this 8:30 to 8:45 candle. Still got about 4 minutes ish left. So, like Spearmaker said, that's not one you would want to take a trade off of. It is crazy that it's breaking down. And like I said, whenever you take a trade off of those, you really want to see price action break below the well, if we're going down, we want to break below the breakdown line here and then below the predator line. So by the time you actually could take a trade here today, you'd be looking at taking a trade way down here, stop technically way up there, and then where are you going? I don't know. And we could even run some fibs. I mean, look, you're already getting in at target 1 just because of the predator candle, and taking it to target 2, you're only going to make a 0.41. So really not something I'd be looking at trading today for sure. Really looking at the upside if we're going to take anything. But like I said, we're going to need to see price action actually go up and show us that it really wants to take that trade. Otherwise, we're just sitting on our hands today, doing nothing. Yep. Just kind of a boring day, with the market kind of being in that turning point here. That's kind of where you kind of just have to sit back and just kind of watch, because really, like I said, if it's not going to set up, it's not going to set up, and it's better to just stay out of the trade and not take anything you don't have to. Those shaded areas, probably talking about these. Yeah, we have this is one of our other indicators actually, is our higher time frames kind of support and resistance lines. So it kind of shows you, where like money pockets are. It's not quite like exact, like obviously like there's 2 above, and then down here you got 1, 2 below. It's not like saying, oh, obviously we're going to come down and get this, and then we're just going to break up and we're going to go all the way up here to this red zone, because then we get all of our money pockets for today. That's not really what it's saying. It's just saying that there is kind of money possibly sitting around here. If you want to use like a good tool to kind of determine that, you can use this tool called Bookmap. It's kind of doing more or less the same thing. Ours are more like math based. Theirs is more of order book based. So they kind of look at the order book, and it kind of just charts out the order book and tells you like where's people's stops at, where's the money kind of looking to go to, what are possible hot zones within the chart that it's looking to take. And it's good. The hard thing, really with that and with ours, is just the fact that just because there's a hot zone somewhere, it doesn't necessarily mean that price is actually going to go to that zone. So for example, like there could be a lot of money sitting up here in this red zone up here. Will that mean that we're going to come up and take that today? No. May not even do it tomorrow or next week, but and it might not even be that big of a deal next week, you know. So it's just something to kind of watch. Weekly volume area low is at 67.070. Interesting. We broke below that just a second ago. Kind of closed right on it almost. I mean, 67.069, pretty close to that level. So interesting there that we got that level there. Yeah, there's our predator close. So really not looking promising for today. Like I said, we don't have that up trade. Technically, we'd be looking at the down trade. It's not that interesting. So overall, not super excited for today. More of a just sit on your hands, kind of wait around day. Could break down, like I said. If it does, don't want to be in it. Yeah, we're really just looking for that breakout trade, if at all possible today. And if it doesn't happen today, we'll be back here on the live, kind of checking it out tomorrow, seeing what happens there. But yeah, really that is kind of it. That's kind of what we're looking at. So yeah, y'all kind of enjoy your day. Just watch that. Yeah, like I said, sit on your hands. You're not really doing anything. Just kind of check in every once in a while, see where price is at. Watch for that break of the breakout zone and kind of see where we're at with that. Again, you want to use TA and kind of see it broke down on the trigger, and why not get in for the short. Well, like I just showed, like our targets, we're already at target 1 and then some. So the risk to reward ratio on the short is already like not good. And also, like, basically when we see that gap there, it tells us that the short's not going to be very good, just this gap alone. So could it still be good? Is the answer is yes. We could still break down, and it could keep going down even farther. But our system is telling us that it's not going to be good. 60K is also saw 50K. Yeah, I mean, we could break down. Like, I'm not saying we're not going to break down. It's just, it's not very likely. And if we do break down, the risk to reward ratio for our system sucks. And then also, we just don't have a big gap. So that also tells us that the trade down's not going to be that good. Anyways, there's not a lot of volume really looking to take us down. So overall, just not a good trade as far as trades go. Just like logic wise, our strategy wise, the up trade is the one to take for today, just based off of yeah, the logic and the strategy, kind of like what we're looking at. So yeah, it's just not one I'd be looking at for today. It's the short. Could you get into it? Yeah, sure. You could take the down trade. Technically, yeah, like you said, it is breaking down from the breakdown line or below that. We closed below that, so now we get a close down here below the predator low. You could jump in and say, oh yeah, we're gonna write it down. But like I said, risk reward ratio sucks. The likelihood of it continuing down sucks. You know, we don't have enough gap here, so it's showing us that we're not going to continue down. If we run those fibs again like we did earlier, we already hit target 2, so where else do you have to run? Target 3, right? And the likelihood of it hitting target 3 is not very likely. The other thing is, if we run the pull here down to our line and run it down, we've already hit it. So again, just not high likelihood that we'll continue down any farther than we already have. Thought we were watching price action with the triggers. We are watching price, like we are, but you have to also follow the system and look at the different trades. So some are likely not a good trade to jump into, so overall stay out of it. Well, you can do whatever you want, but we are not going to be trading it. I'm not going to be really looking at it unless it goes to the upside, because that's the one that we want to take. No, you didn't miss the trade. There's no trade setup. The trade setup for today is the upside. You don't have any downside trade setups today. Yeah, because you need to close below the predator line and below the breakdown, and we haven't gotten that because the predator candle is the one that dropped us down here so far. So our predator line's right there. We need to close below this on the 15 before you can even look at remotely taking it. And could it break down farther? Yes, it could. But again, risk to reward ratio sucks, and yeah, it's just not a great trade. No, I wouldn't even touch that thing, man. There's no. The system told you not to take that, so I wouldn't take that. It's basically what I'm gonna say. I'm sure you could figure out a way to get in. Yep, no downside due to the gap. That's all you have to really. That's, yeah, where it basically breaks down to. Your gap was only a 0.17, so well, I guess 0.20 or whatever. You know, it's not a good gap. Either way. So even if it does break down, that gap is telling us that there's not a high likelihood that it continues fast where it is right now. And it was not even a very high likelihood we break down there. Could have been news, could have been anything. And even if you were in that, like, that would be so hard to jump into and take. And it just did not follow the system at all. So there's no trade there. And the gap is telling you don't take it right now because it's probably at the bottom. So the upside, the gap's a lot better. The risk reward ratio is better. The trade in general is just better. So that's the one we're looking at if we're looking to take a trade. But yeah, other than that, thank y'all for watching. We'll catch y'all tomorrow, back at it for another live stream. We'll be checking out the gaps again, checking out where we're at with the system, seeing if we can get anything kind of traded for, you know, see if we can get anything kind of going on tomorrow, see if anything kind of happens, any kind of trades going on, maybe where the predator lines are and stuff like that. Yeah, this is why you stick to the system daily, because you might not make any money today. We might not even take a trade, but you know, tomorrow we can make all of it. You know, make $500-600 on 100. So, and you know, maybe it won't even come this week, but pretty soon our system will start kicking in, and we'll be making money, and you won't have to worry too much about it. But trading days like today is where you start to lose your money, and you wish that you just waited for the good times. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like I said, we will catch y'all tomorrow 8 a.m. Make sure you check out our recap coming out here at 10, kind of breaking down the weekend. Well, I guess it's Tuesday, huh? So we're breaking down Monday, yesterday. Our recap for the weekend is already out, so if you want to check that out, you're welcome to as well. But yeah, no trades really for today, so just watch that upside. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you all tomorrow. See ya.